everyone. Welcome to the panel Groundwater Project on social media. We have a discussion about how social media could help us. This is our first Making Groundwater Visible. That's the name of our event from the Groundwater Project. And I'm your host, Everton de Oliveira. Thank you so much for joining us. Please upload your picture watching the event and tag it at the Groundwater to be featured on our social media pages. We count on you. Like and share our posts. Volunteer to help translate books into your mother language. Make a difference. Let's make the groundwater visible, okay? Before we start, I would like to thank our sponsors for making this event possible and free to all of you. TDS, Technical Development Solutions from Saudi Arabia. Hydroplan, a consulting company from Brazil. G360 from the University of Guelph in Canada. Solinst Equipments from Canada. And Waterloo Barrier also from Canada. And also, we would like to thank all the individual donors. Without them, this noble endeavor would not be possible. Please join them. Donate if you are an individual, or add the name of your company as a sponsor to a Game Changer initiative, okay? Our project started a few years ago with John Cherry, and it is an internet project. We do everything online. The books are free to anyone. Just come and download. Tell your friends. And today we have a discussion on how the social media and how the internet can be used to the good of the groundwater. We have two examples, two very nice people who talk to us, have experience on using internet to promote groundwater and to promote good things for people that are filled with good intentions, okay? Today, we have with us Michael Campana from Oregon State University. Welcome, Michael. We're very glad to have you. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. Please make a brief introduction of yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Everton. It's a pleasure to be here, and to be associated with such an organization I'm honored anyway. Michael Campana, and the name is the last name. I'm sometimes confused from coming from Latin America. It's actually Italian. So anyway, I'll just mention that. And I've been in groundwater for, I hate to admit it, close to a half a century. I mean, I got my master's degree in 1973. That's almost 50 years ago. I was actually born in New York City. And grew up in the suburbs of New York. And actually, as I was growing up, I was drinking groundwater, but I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't until I went to graduate school that I realized that on the place where I grew up, which is called Long Island, and that's a name, it's a Long Island that sticks out from Manhattan Island, the water was from the ground. And to this day, they drink a lot of groundwater. It's from several deep aquifers. It's excellent quality water. They have had some contamination problems that we'll go into. But anyway, until I went to graduate school at the University of Arizona, I didn't know where my water came from. I just, it came out of the tap. And so that kind of got me started. And I had a bachelor's degree in geology from the College of William and Mary. And this was in the late 60s. I didn't know what to do with myself afterwards, because in those days in the US, if you had a bachelor's degree in geology, you worked for the government or you worked for an oil company or gas, that was it. And then one of my professors said, you ought to look at this thing called hydrogeology. And I've got some people out in the Western US. So I was always enamored of going out to the West. So I went to the University of Arizona, got my master's and PhD there, and then went up to Reno, Nevada, taught and did research at the Desert Research Institute. Then I went to the University of New Mexico for 17 years, loved living in New Mexico. And then about 15 years ago, I came here to Oregon State University. And if you're not familiar with the geography, Oregon State is in the Pacific Northwest, that we call it. It's north of California. And I'm only about 40 miles, or let's say 60, 70 kilometers from the Pacific Ocean. So we have a very wet climate here. We get well over a meter of precipitation. So I don't have to worry about recharge as I did in New Mexico and Arizona and Reno. But I realized that coming here to a very wet place, that I'm really what we call a desert rat. I'd really rather be in the high desert than in the lowlands where we get a lot of, like, it's going to rain today. You know, we have a wet season, dry season. So anyway, I got into social media maybe 15 or 20 years ago. It was, as usual, dumb luck. I didn't plan this out. Someone said, oh, you got to write a blog. Started writing a blog, and then Twitter came along. Oh, you got to do Twitter. So I'm a real you know, inveterate social media type. I still do some research. Most of it's involved in managed aquifer recharge, which I think is something that the whole world needs to be a little more cognizant of. So I'm going to let it go from there and give my good friend Rodrigo, who he tells me he's near the beach, but I don't see it there anyway. So thanks very much. And again, thanks for having me here today. And I love the background that you have there, Everton. That's really very nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll get back to you soon.
Okay.
Along with Mike Campana. Actually, Campana for us, Campana is the place where they put the bell on top of
Right.
the church.
That's
So
what
that's
it
a
is.
high position. It's a nice
Italian.
nice
Same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So Rodrigo Cordeiro. Rodrigo Cordeiro from a company called Nasty with an E. Be careful, okay? Rodrigo, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into our discussion, please?
All right. Thanks, Everton, for inviting me to participate in this panel. It's a pleasure to share this panel with Michael. My name is Rodrigo. I have been working with events organization for the last 24 years. Most of the events that I have organized are about the water subject, and most of them about groundwater. So I have been facing the groundwater subject on the huge challenge to communicate about it for the last 24 years. So it's a pleasure to me to be participating on this event and to tell you a little bit more of some of the projects that we have organized during this life. One of them is the World Water Forum, where I think Michael came to the event. Yes. And I have been in charge of the whole organization of this event. And it's going to be a pleasure to discuss a little bit more on social media, how it can improve the information about groundwater for the whole society. So thanks, Everton.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I've been working with internet for quite a while as well. Just as Mike, I hate to admit that this is a long time. Anything that we say is a long time. So sad, but we're having fun. That's the most important thing. So I brought you guys here today because both of you have experience working with internet and social media. Internet first and social media after. So I follow Mike on his social media, Twitter, and others, and also Rodrigo. Could you tell us a little bit about your experience, Mike? First, you have experience with associations and let's say foundations. Could you tell us a little bit about the foundation that you have or you belong to, and then how you started distributing information about groundwater, how many followers you have or something like that, just to place us.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for asking me. Actually, the foundation that I'm involved with is I have my own private, it's a nonprofit. It's called the Ann Campana Judge Foundation. It's named for my late sister, who was killed in 9/11, and it's kind of a tribute to her because she was interested in water and people, et cetera. And I work through that foundation, I work exclusively in Central America. Right now, mostly I'm working in Honduras, sometimes in Nicaragua, but we build community water systems, or I should say, we help the local people build their own community water systems by providing expertise and money for supplies. I used to take students down to work on these, but as I'm sure you know, people are, when you tell people you want to take students to Honduras, they look up on a certain page and they say, oh my gosh, everybody gets killed in Honduras. Don't go, you know, that kind of stuff. So I can't do that anymore. And it's unfortunate because the students came away from there with a great appreciation for their own water, not just for others, because they saw how difficult it was to get clean water. And so I should appreciate it more. So, but enough about that. I don't know. I've always been interested as soon as the internet came out. And when I was at the University of New Mexico, before I came here, this was the early internet days, and I had a big email list, and that's all it was. And I just sent around emails to maybe 500 or 1,000 people, not too often on events that were coming up, whether they dealt with water or specifically groundwater. And then after that, someone said, you know, you should really get more organized instead of just sending out a big, huge list of emails. And so that's when I thought about starting a blog, which I didn't start until I think 2005 or 2006. And there you can just write what you want naturally. And it's called Water Wired now. It doesn't go by my my real name, but I just found that there was a hunger out there, not just among professionals, but the one thing that surprised me about groundwater was that there were a lot of people who were professionals in water, but they knew very little about groundwater, even in dry regions. You know, they were always thinking about surface water, which is fine. But I said, look, there's far more groundwater than surface water. You need to be aware of it. And they said, well, gee, I didn't know that. I didn't learn that in school, which again surprised me. So I started focusing on other professionals, but who didn't know much about groundwater and needed or wanted to be informed about it. So I started sending around links to articles, and I started writing my own articles, and that became popular. And then Twitter came around, and in 2009 or 2010, I started tweeting. When someone told me what Twitter was, I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Who cares that I'm standing on the corner right now, or I'm going into a taco place? No one wants to know that. Then I realized, no, you can do a lot more with that. And now, as I'm sure you folks know, and we know in the United States, Twitter can be used for very evil purposes, just like, you know, the internet in general, anything. But if you use it correctly, and I like to think I do, it's a wonderful thing. You can send stuff around the world. And people say, well, but you can only write in so many characters. Well, that helps you be concise about things instead of taking, 20 minutes, as I'm going to do, talking about social media. You've got to do it in, what someone can read in about 15 seconds. So and you can also direct people to other things. And that's mainly what I do with Twitter. I don't necessarily have these long tweets, but I say, look, you ought to read this article. And you, in the Groundwater Project, it's easy to promote your stuff because you have the title of the book, okay? You make a JPEG of that, or I take it off your website, I send the link, and you'd be surprised how often those are picked up, and they're picked up by people who are groundwater experts, or they want to be groundwater experts. And so I've even told some of my friends who are groundwater hydrologists, hey, you ought to look at this groundwater project thing. And for some of them who are very capable, I say, you might consider writing for them or translating for them. And that to me is amazing, because no one should have to learn English to be a good hydrogeologist or groundwater person. Do it in Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, Mandarin, all kinds of things. I've got a friend of mine who writes water well manuals. And right now, he's a well driller. He's an engineer by training. He's actually written little booklets, of course, in English, but he has them in Spanish. He has them in French. He has them in Swahili. And when he takes those books to Africa, boy, they're gone like that. And he has them online. So, I mean, it's amazing. I think the world is thirsting for information on groundwater. And I try to do that, of course, mostly in English. That's really the only language I speak half decently, not totally. And so, but people like you and Rodrigo and what John Cherry has assembled and built is just amazing. And how he did it, I don't want to know, because when you start, publishing things and it's free, everybody thinks there's a gimmick. I said, the only gimmick is we're going to help you learn about groundwater. So that's a long-winded explanation. And I can see Rodrigo wants to get out there to the beach because it's in the afternoon there. So, which I would want to do as well, Rodrigo, but I'm stuck here in the rain. So anyway, so I should be quiet now and let smarter people talk. So,
Michael, you are invited to come. So take your time
well,
and come.
Isn't IAH is going to be in Brazil?
In Brazil,
what?
in August.
Yes.
Is that going to be in Brasilia or?
Yes, in São Paulo.
São Paulo.
And it's near the beach. You can
Yeah.
go to the beach. Yes.
Okay,
really
Sao
close to
Paulo.
the beach.
Okay, I've been to the airport there. I know how to get around. Good, Sao Paulo.
Oh, but that's okay. I
I
can
can
take
take care of you.
Let's go.
I can take care of
Okay, sorry.
So Rodrigo, you please.
Okay,
All right. So I have been working with groundwater since '96. My father used to have a company of events organization. And in this company, one of the associations that we used to take care is the Brazilian Groundwater Association. So I have been listening about groundwater in my house, and it was totally difficult for me to understand what was that. Since the school, of course, we can learn about that on the school, but just a little bit. So after that, when I have heard about the groundwater, the importance, the numbers of groundwater, it became a passion for me. So I have been working really close to the Brazilian Groundwater Association, and it's a pleasure to me to join the guys that I met during my whole life, and you, Everton, is one of them, like a past president of ABAS. I'm not working for ABAS right now for the association, but the friends are the same. So we keep the friendship with most of them, what is really important in the life. So the social media came in my life when I have to promote some of the events that we organize. Maybe one of the most important cases that we have is the World Water Forum that was held in Brazil, where the difficulty of funding was really present on the event. It was difficult to raise the whole amount that we need. And by the beginning of the project, when we have started, we have decided to go to social media. And it was a great decision because we could spread the information about water for the whole world using the social media. When we have started the organization of the World Water Forum, one of the most challenge that we have, one of the main challenge that we have was to spread the communication about the forum for the whole world. It was impossible to make it by mail post. So we have decided to go online since it was an event that should go online. We were facing a big change on the behavior of the society, and we have decided to move to the online just after that. So the huge communication process that we have was based on the social media. And of course, we were trying to get some participants for the forum, but not just that. We need to spread the communication about the water for the whole society, since it was the main cause, the main goal of the World Water Council that was the promoter of the event. So after that, we have started. By the beginning, we have some problems because some of there were two events in Brazil in the same date. One of the World Water Forum, and the other one was the World Alternative Water Forum that was made from some other parties, political parties that we have in Brazil. And one of the main challenges is how to spread the communications on that. Because just by the first moment, they were understanding that the World Water Forum was the event that wants to sell the water, to sell the sanitation for the companies, and it was a challenge to change their opinion. And we were by the beginning we were not trying to make it to get some conflicts on the social media. We are trying to inform what we need to inform. So it was really hard for us to send some answers when we get when the people try to say that we are trying to make the water a private, to sell the water for private companies. By the beginning, it was really difficult. So we have faced it on a way that we have to go to the public. We need to inform the public, the society about the water, the importance of the water, and much more than this, how the children could change the world, understanding what is expected from them on the water problems and issues. And after that, we could go and communicate online, and we got really big numbers for the forum just by changing the communication to try to get just some good informations about water, and trying to engage the whole society and how they could participate on the World Water Forum in Brazil. So the numbers that we were expecting, like 6,000 participants, we could have 11,000 participants. The number of visitors of the event, we were expecting around 40,000 people. We have achieved 110,000 people. So it was much more than what was expected, just by changing the way that we were communicating on the social media. So I really believe on the strong of communication by social media, and we can really promote the informations about water for the society through this way.
Rodrigo, I attended the last World Water Forum, and
Right.
I want to congratulate you. I didn't know you were involved with that, but you know, we're always suspicious when we go to a World Water Forum. Okay, it's going to be. You guys did a fabulous job, and
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
That's one. I've been to 5 of them, and I think that's my top one. It was just an enjoyable event. The people, the message that you put out was great. So thanks very
Thank
much.
you. The whole history started on 2015, when we have been hired to set up the Brazilian booth on South Korea.
Okay.
And on the third day of the World Water Forum in Korea, in South Korea, we have received 40 students from South Korea with 5 years old. They were 5 years.
Oh.
And it was a challenge for us because we know that Brazil has water issues on the water matters. So what we have done is to take a picture from them, and they have to go because we don't have any kind of information to share with them. After that, what I have proposed to the clients in Brazil is that we need to have information for these guys, because what they want to see is not what the companies want to show. So we have to make a matchmaking between what people want to meet and what we have to offer for them. And after that, we decided to make the Citizen Village, that was the place that most of the society came to the event. And from the 110,000 people, 60,000 people were students from Brasilia, from the whole state of federal district. So the numbers are really amazing, but the number of children that has participated in the event is totally different. Since the beginning, my idea is not to make one Congress with one exhibition, because it would be so easy for the participants to understand what we're proposing to do. So we need to innovate. The water needs innovation, and the innovation could be one information that can be delivered by the capacity of them to understand what we want them to understand. So that was the change that we have made in the World Water Forum in Brazil. So the numbers that we have achieved, not just on the participants, but also in the visitors of the event, it's about the way that we have communicated about the water for these guys and the kind of message they could take from the event to change the way the house that they live deals with the water subject. So that was the main things that we have tried to make the people understand, is that there is another way to think about the water, and the children are the most responsible for a change of the way of the status quo that you have in your house. So
Yeah.
that was the main thing that we have done. After that, it was just to communicate, to engage the people, to engage institutions, and to engage the whole world to think about that.
That's very nice. So I see that you both, as we knew, are firm believers on social media influence and how we can use that. But how can you use that to spread the groundwater education and to pass along the information on the concepts of groundwater, how it is important in people's lives? Just like Mike said, people didn't know that there was groundwater. They're only concerned about surface water because people don't see.
Right.
That's maybe why you have the name of our event, Making Groundwater Visible. So how can we use social media to spread the word?
I think the main thing to do on social media is, first of all, if you're talking about a medium such as a blog or something like that, you can put more information there than you can on Twitter. But for me, as I told you before, Everton and Rodrigo, I like to use Twitter to drive people to a site that has more information. In English, we'd say it's like a teaser. You put a nice JPEG there of a picture or something, and you say, you want more? Go to this link. And of course, my social media, I've kind of stopped at beyond Twitter and LinkedIn and a little bit of Facebook and the blog. I'm not on some of the other platforms. I do a little bit of WhatsApp, but anyway, so I've tended to stay where I am and just work on developing those few things that I think I can do well instead of spreading myself too thin. And then you run the risk of maybe you're missing, you're not on the cutting edge anymore or something like that. But until someone tells me you should stop doing this because no one's reading it, then I'll keep doing it. But I think the thing is, I find, and Rodrigo mentioned this, if you can get to the young people, and I'm not just talking about young professionals, although they are very important, but the people who haven't yet made career choices or who are still in school, and try to tell them stories. I think people love to hear stories about things. So if you can create a story around groundwater instead of just saying, well, it's under the ground and we pump it out with wells, but if you can relate it to something in their life, that to me is critical. I remember about 30 years ago, a long time ago, when I was much younger, I was trying to explain to high school students in Reno, Nevada, talking about water, just water in general. And of course, they weren't interested in, they turned the tap on. And then I mentioned something that had been in the newspaper. And again, this was 30 years ago. And I said, a local person paid $27 million for the water rights to build houses in a part of Reno, and that stopped them in their tracks. Because as soon as you talk about, and this, 30 years ago, $27 million was real money, and they couldn't believe it, and they wanted to know why. Why would anybody pay that amount? Where is the water coming from? And so we wound up going way over time, and the teacher just let me keep going and going, but they got absolutely fascinated with that stuff. And so something like that just kind of dropped in my lap. I didn't think they were going to get excited, but boy, they stopped. And, I wouldn't spend $27 million on water. And then you explain why this guy did spend $27 million, but anyway. And so I think it's really important, if you could, with social media, it's nice to do facts, and certainly with a place like Twitter, you don't have enough room. But if you can start to tell a story, I think that really resonates, not just with children, but I think with adults. You like to hear something that's kind of like in the real world, and not just like it's made up by some crazy scientist who wears bifocals and things like that. Yeah.
Rodrigo, how can we use it for your own good?
I think, Everton, the first thing that I have to say is take the risk of thinking and of thinking different. Most of the communication that we can see is most the same. People want to spread the goals that they have on the internet, but it's not what the people want to see. People want to see is that how can they can change that behavior for so many different aspects of or issues of the life, and the internet can make the whole difference. In the internet or the social media, it's not the end of the way, it's the middle of the way. It's about the communication. You have one goal there, and you have the guys here, so many different guys around you, and you have to know what is the right message to send for the right people, for these people. We have to understand that when we talk with professors that deals with the groundwater every day, they know what you want to mention, what you are saying. So this is, of course, one of your publics that you have. But when we talk about the society, it's another way of communicating to them. So the first thing to understand about social media is that you need to target what you want on the social media, what you want to communicate. And after that, you have to make your message clear and engaging people to take some actions just after reading what you want to say. So it's not just about posting and inviting people to understand more. It's much more about how they can change the way and how can they promote your informations on social media on a way. But it's not the final way, it's the middle of the way. The social media is just one way that you have to communicate your project. You have so many others that you need to use to get your information understood by a large number of people. So this is the two things that I have to say. One, take the risk of thinking and spreading your information in a different way. And the second, internet or social media is not the end of the way. It's the middle of the way. It's how you communicate for your target audience that you are looking for at this kind of communication. It's impossible to communicate for so many different people that wants to understand a little bit more about groundwater. The communication needs to change. So you have to target according to the message that you are spreading. So, but I think you are doing a good job. So on that, so you know what I mean.
I hope I do. I hope I do. I'm not sure. Well, actually, our project, when John approached me and we started the project, the Groundwater Project, the whole idea was because we would have the great book, Freeze and Cherry. So it's it's very easy to distribute Freeze and Cherry. No need, no effort, because it's well known, it's so good. Anyone would download it for free because it's there and it's good. So I said, well, that's very easy to start, but to keep it going, it's another story. We still have other books. Books are good baits for people to come, but they don't stay. The problem is that we have on using the Groundwater Project is that we want people to participate, to become engaged. So to engage them, usually translation is very good because people will see, but discussions are not still open on the Groundwater Project. And we have to do so if you want to reach out for people that are not, let's say, experts or experts want to be. right? Students of groundwater. Those are low-hanging fruits, we think. But if you want to reach out to a larger audience, to make them aware of groundwater, we need way more than that. So what do you think about that? Do you have any ideas, or have you seen any examples, or we're on our own because this is a first kind of experiment? What do you think?
Well, haven't you just published the book about the water drop or something? Isn't it like a children's book that?
Yes, we did. Well, actually, we have translations in Spanish. Yes, and we're going to publish the Chinese version, well, Mandarin version of it pretty soon. We released it in Greek, and
Okay.
this is a wonderful experience. Thanks for reminding me of that, because, for example, this book has a story. We'll have that presented in our event here. One of the sessions, we're going to talk about it. And when we send that for people to translate, usually what happens is that most people that are willing to translate are hydrogeologists. And they see, look, I'm translating this, but then I'm not used to talk to children. Yeah. This is not, I'm going to use jargon, and it's going to look too dry for a kid to read that, because the book in English, it's not dry at all. It's quite readable. It's very enjoyable. And from the Greek translators, it's a lady who's studying in Canada. She's Greek, and so she brought in a friend of ours who's a professor for kids. So they had a wonderful experience, like localizing the language, all the expressions for a local Greek to understand, because some of the words and some of the things have to be localized for that audience. And also in Mandarin, we had another nice experience. It's a lady, she wanted to translate, and then she brought in her daughter to help her in Mandarin, because the daughter would give her ideas on how to explain things into their languages. So this is the kind of engagement that are very interesting for us, that we want to spread. Let's say in Groundwater book, you have a translator, but a translator, since he's doing groundwater translation, he has his own experience. He has lots of example and experience that are very rich and could be incorporated into our world, right? Some of them are very specific and very nice, and there are great examples, right? So the idea is to have people given information, participating in a project, not only as translators, but then this is something that we're working on, right? For now, we still have only the translations, the pure translations. So that's the idea. Thank you, Mike, for the question.
Okay. I was just going to say, I don't know if you've talked about getting into things like animation or some simple, you can use platforms like YouTube or whatever to show movement, and I'm sure you've seen it. If you go to YouTube and just search on groundwater models or sandbox models, a bunch of things come up, and those would be good. Again, you could do those in different languages, but I think sometimes younger people like to see things moving or something happening instead of an old guy talking at them or something like that, or even a young guy. But a young guy is probably better, or a young woman. But something like that. I don't know if the project wants to get in there and looking at existing videos and adapting them to either certain languages or certain age groups or whatever. I use those in my classes for graduate students and undergraduate students, where I'll show videos of things that someone else has done. And a lot of times, especially when we're teaching online and can't be there and don't have a lab, that makes a difference. They say, okay, now I see what you're talking about. I saw that on the, so.
Yeah, Rodrigo.
I think so many informations has been spread in so many ways, so YouTube, social medias, and so on. One of the ways that I think the project can have is to concentrate and to make them visible. When these guys are posting their informations, they are just delivering this information for their friends, and it's a small group of people. One of the ways that maybe you can promote much more information is you can concentrate and you can spread the information for the whole world, since you have so many authors from different parts of the world. So I think what you can use is the large list of people that wants to know and who have downloaded the whole book that you have just launched. So it's a good way to spread the information about groundwater, is to make the what other people has just posted to make it visible.
Yeah, well, you are right, Mike, because we are actually planning and working on it already to produce videos, short videos,
Yeah.
About concepts. Our idea is to have first very short videos, very short,
Yeah.
that people can see quickly, and professors could use their classes. They can embed the video into a PowerPoint presentation and use that. So our idea is to go with short examples. This I have myself an example. We produce here. I have an NGO here in Brazil that's called Sustainable Water Institute. I'm the president of that NGO as well, and we produced a video. It's a character. It's called Rodrigo is part of that NGO as well. We produced a video, a short video, 20-second message, with some animations, very nice. And it's the character is called Professor Agua, Professor Water, Professor Agua. And the character is myself and a little cartoon. And that view alone, just mentioning that the water on Earth is the same as from the beginning of the planet. And that had more than 1 million views. Short video with this very simple message, but it's important because people don't know. And had more than 1 million views, one video. So videos are very effective, but they're also very expensive to produce them properly, right? But they're very good. So they're waiting online for us to do that. So we need some more funding to have that. But we will take videos from the audience. If anyone produces a nice video that he wants to distribute, we'll be glad to help distributing high quality videos for education and public in general. It doesn't need to be in English. Well, it has to have the message in English so we all understand what is in it. But the idea is that we have videos on any languages. Not only we have some of the material like this, this session, for example. If you that are watching is willing to translate, just go on YouTube and translate it. It's free. You just go and do your job, and people at your mother tongue would be very close to understand what's going on. So about that, what's your expectation of the future of groundwater based on our spread on the internet? Can we get a better, can we be optimistic about that?
That's a kind of question that, depending upon the day of the week or my mood, I'll give you a different answer. Okay.
Okay. You're laughing, so I hope it's going to be a good answer. I as we say in English, I blow hot and cold. Some days I'm really enthusiastic. Other days I say, if you'll forgive the expression, guys, these people are a bunch of morons. They don't see the importance of groundwater. And then you realize, no, I can't call people morons. Okay. So I was just mulling that over last night, or this morning when I took my walk. I was thinking about how that you were probably going to ask me that. And I didn't think of a good example then, and I don't now. But
I'll have to say I am more optimistic because I've been around long enough so that I've seen even an evolution in social media, and I see more people, getting it, as we say. In other words, figuring out, yes, groundwater, yes, we need to make the invisible visible. And I know that's what Kukarich is doing with EGRAC. That's his mantra now, and I think he's going to be at the World Water Forum in Senegal in a year and a half, well, little over a year. And so I think there is optimism. I see more groundwater stories in media, either print media or social media, that you never would have imagined even just a few years ago. And more reporters are calling and asking about, how do I explain this? Or why is this important? And so that does, I do have faith that we'll get it out there someday, and people will be aware of it and know that they need to protect it and use it wisely. So I have to say today, I'm optimistic.
Very good. Very
Okay.
good. You, Rodrigo.
I think the same, Everton. I think
You're at the beach. You have to be optimistic today.
I think the question is not about producing the content of that. It's about it's expensive. Who will pay the bill? I think it's about fundraising. It's not easy to fundraise for this kind of project. You need to make some deliveries for the sponsors to make tangible in a way that they can measure the investment that they have made. What is the return on investment that they have? And something that we need to talk, we need to communicate, is something that it's impossible to measure. How is the benefits of one brand on that? So I don't think the challenge is on producing the content for social media and so on. It's about how we are going to pay the bill, because if we want to make it easy, we need videos, and videos are expensive. So who will pay the bill after that? So if we have so many people asking for money to do the same, we are going to have lots of brands that are not interested, because the capacity of spreading the communication is local, and they want it by global. They want to do it globally. So the challenge is not about the content, because content, we have so many content that you can produce, all of you can produce, so many universities can produce good content. It's about to identify a way that most of the people can understand what we are saying, and with a good material on that. So the videos are necessary, good posts, good images for the posts are necessary, and it's not, as you mentioned just 5 minutes ago, it's not cheap. It's expensive to make these good materials to spread the communications on groundwater. So I think the main challenge is about how we are going to fund, how we're going to pay the bill. Who will pay for that?
Yeah, you are correct. We have well, to make things free, and you still have a cost, and a high cost, right? People think, well, we want to get things free, but someone has to pay the bill, right? Yes. We're struggling. We're at that point now. Yeah, so if someone is watching and willing to donate, please, welcome. But we do have ways of going ahead, and I'm very optimistic as well. I see the results from the Groundwater Project. And from the start, with very little money and a few donations, we reached more than 150 countries. And we've seen examples of people, a very nice lady from Paraguay, young lady, she joined with a group of young professionals in water. Mm-hmm. So they're helping us, and they're spreading information using their connections. They're using social media so well. It's quite impressive. We reached people in many places in Africa, all different languages. We reached people in Vietnam, in Cambodia, I don't know, so many other countries. Kazakhstan, we have a session with a person from Kazakhstan who's helping translate the things. So I do believe I'm working like Mike was saying at the beginning. It's a labor of love, but then you have to be a true believer to do it. You love it, but you have to believe in what you do. Otherwise, you don't go, right? So I agree with you guys. I'm optimistic, but in general, my mood doesn't change. I'm always optimistic since I was born, I think. And we've seen many changes, and I think we're going to see more. Guys, it's a wonderful talk today. I would like you to make your final statements and say something for us about how to go. And if you want to leave a message on people to follow you on social media, we'll be glad to spread the word as well. You're doing a great job already. Thank you. Mike.
I think, as I think I started out by saying this, that I think the Groundwater Project is really remarkable. And if someone had told me this even just a few years ago, I'd say, nah, I don't think this is going to work, or you're not going to be able to get people to translate or something like that, or permission or whatever. But obviously, you and John and the others have done a remarkable job. And when I see stuff like this, I mean, when I saw the first promotion of the first book, I said, my gosh, this is great. And it's essentially going to help people to help themselves. They're going to be able to read about groundwater and not go out and spend a small fortune on a book. They'll have it right in their own hands, right on the screen, and I think it'll, in its own way, it's going to make people more aware and make groundwater visible. So more power to you, Everton.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for your help. You're always distributing our information. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Rodrigo, please.
I think it's the same, Everton. I think I have just to thank you for inviting me to participate in this panel. It's a good opportunity to know a little bit more about the project. Of course, you can count on me to spread all the communications that you need. Not just about that. I think we have something in common, is that we love what we do. By the way, Michael is a professor. He does not need he does not earn to deliver information about groundwater. You have a company, so if you do what you do, is because you love what you do. So it's not just about loving where your money comes from. It's about loving what you do, and this is the same reason that we connect the three of us in this panel. So I think we need to network. We need to change informations, and we need many more people promoting the information on groundwater to make it visible as soon as possible, because people drink it every day, people use it every day, but they don't know what they are using. So it's time to get them know that what they drink is groundwater and so on. So just need to congratulate you for the event and for the whole team that you have, who they are making an amazing job. So thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you
Everton, one way to get people's attention is tell them that the glass of water they're drinking that came out of the ground was peed by a dinosaur 50 million years ago or something. And then that whoa, they go, what? So maybe that's the wrong message to send, but it kind of wakes the people up.
Actually, I'll say we have a video that says exactly that. You know,
okay.
The water, you may be drinking the same water that the dinosaur drank 50 million years ago.
Yeah, it's better to say the dinosaur drank instead of the dinosaur peed. Yes, probably.
Yeah, that scares people.
Then they'll drink bottled water and never drink groundwater. Okay. Yes. Sorry.
All right. Well, that was a very, very light and enjoyable session with both of you guys.
Likewise.
So I'd like to thank you very much, and I'd like to ask people who's watching us. The idea is that you help us to spread the news through social media. We know that many of you are very keen on using social media with your friends and your relationships. So we want to spread the word about groundwater to anyone, not only to professionals. Our idea is not only to talking to professionals and using jargons, is to make people aware of the importance of groundwater. We haven't done this in the past, and groundwater rests invisible for most of the people in the world. So we have to change this game, and it's up to us. We know what we're talking about because we study and we love groundwater. So if you're watching us, that's because you survived to the end of this long interview, which is very good and it's impressive. And you could help us, tell your friends, help us, give ideas to us if you have ways of joining us, so we can share and like our videos, our posts. That's the best we can do, and to help the groundwater to go. Thank you very much, guys. It was a lot of fun meeting you. Thank you. Thank you for a nice job that you're doing. Oh, Michael, just for a start, show everybody your shirt.
Okay, I've got this is my Got Water shirt. And because the picture I use in many places is in the Got Water shirt. And actually, I can't show you the back of it. I guess I could, but it talks about the lack of clean water that many people endure throughout the world, and also the fact that most of the gathering of water is done by women, and so it has a fake job offer for a water carrier. Must be able to carry 45 pounds of water on your head for 20 kilometers or something like that. Only women and girls need apply. Wages $0 per hour. And it makes a difference. I can't take credit for it. A friend of mine, Ray Newmeyer, who's a driller with a degree in engineering physics, if you can get that, put these things together. So, but I love it. It's whenever I give a water talk at a place, I'll put this on. So. Anyway.
We should have Groundwater Project T-shirts so you can.
Oh yeah. So you talk about social media, but any way you get your word out there, that's that's maybe Everton. You're an entrepreneur. I'm not. You should come up with something like that. You can get it in many different languages. So
yes, we're working hard on that. We're working hard on that. We'll get there. Okay, let's go to the question. We have one question for you here. They say, books are a great way of presenting groundwater in depth, I believe. But what do you think are other types of media that could be used to attract more people into groundwater? Maybe in a more shallow level? That's the question. So
that's an interesting question.
Rodrigo just arrived. Welcome, Rodrigo.
How you doing, sir?
How are you?
Let me say something about books first. My wife is a librarian, and even though she's moved into electronic library, one thing I realized a few years ago is that books are great because they're independent of the technology that's currently available. And so people talk about having things on, flash drives. Remember, I'm old enough to remember 5 1/4 inch floppy disks and 2 inch, those things, which are obsolete now. So books to me have a special place in my heart. But I agree, in order to make groundwater come alive or anything, I love that there's a lot of stuff on YouTube and some of the other platforms that people put together, whether it's a little sand tank model or some other things. So I think you have to have a number of different platforms available so that the person can find the one that he or she resonates most with. I have a lot of students who are more visually oriented. They want to see pictures. They want to see things, moving and what have you. And then I have some who still, they like to look at pictures and books. So I think I don't have one thing. You can tell that I'm an old man, so of course I'm partial to books. But on the other hand, the internet can do things that books can't do. So it's you have to kind of figure out for your particular audience what's going to work best.
Yes, and actually, this question goes to our audience as well, because our audience are mostly younger professionals. They're very connected to the internet. They know the ways.
Yeah.
So suggestions are like welcome. If you have ideas on how to promote groundwater, how to spread the word to younger generations, well, welcome. That's what we're here for. Okay. Yeah. We're all ears. Please let us know.
That's right.
I have a question here. Well, actually, it's not a question. It's an affirmation. It's from Iris from Mexico. The children's book is very nice, Wally and Anna.
Yes.
And with my daughters, we did some experiments. For example, we did a filter with different materials, and my kid was very happy. Best regards from Yucatan. Okay. Well, I know Rodrigo has done the same with his daughters, right, Rodrigo?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us how it was?
First, I'd like to thank for the invitation, Everton. It's a pleasure to talk also with you, Michael. I have 3 daughters, and they are really interested about the water subjects, and of course, all kinds of materials that we can bring to them. They can change the world. So it's their time to change the world. So I think that's the main sentence that I can say to our audience to explain what are the feelings that we have about that moment.
And they can change the world, definitely. Yeah. Yes. Michael, I have a question from Julia Costa here to you from Brazil. What is the biggest challenge of uploading daily groundwater information to social media?
It's
you do upload quite a lot.
Julia, that's a great question. I don't have people say, well, do you have some kind of method? And the answer is no. It's just a gut feeling. I have a lot of information coming to me through the internet, as I'm sure most of our viewers have. And it's just a matter of figuring out what I think people are going to be interested in, whether they're, fellow hydrogeologists or whether they're journalists or something. So I try to find things that will appeal to a broad number of people. Some are very specific. So I don't have any regular, formula or anything like that. And that's why I wouldn't be good to be an instructor in how to use social media. It's literally a gut feeling. I'll look at stuff and say, hey, I think that's going to look good. So I'm sorry if I'm not giving you.
I recommend you guys watching us follow Michael Campana on Twitter. It's very nice.
No, it is, but it's I have to say it's a very enjoyable task. And I also have to say that when I heard about Twitter, 15 years ago, I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Who the hell cares whether like I'm on the street corner now, come see me, or I'm eating this for lunch. And now look what it's become. I mean, it's you get your word out there, and it's the power.
Presidents use that, right?
Oh yeah, presidents. In fact, we have an ex-president who's been banned from Twitter. So I just have to watch.
Our actual president does that as well.
Okay. Well, so I have to watch myself. I'm afraid of getting banned because I'm going to be,
or becoming a president.
No, I doubt that. But yeah, it's just, go with your gut feeling. If something appeals to you, it probably appeals to a bunch of other people. So.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Luis Hernandez. Hi, an idea came out to my mind. For example, we could use games, example, apps for cell phones to stimulate in a funny way how to deal with this subject, groundwater. Yeah. Have you considered something like that? Rodrigo, we did. Can you tell them the Pokemon drilling
Oh, really?
Yes.
built.
Yes, one of the main challenges that we have during the organization of an event about groundwater is to explain to the society how can they deal with that and how can they better use the groundwater. So maybe around 4 years ago or 6 years ago, we have decided to make an app where all the participants could drill a well. And we have so many kinds of soils. A machine, a well driller, and they can move it. And when they tap on the button, the machine tries to drill the well. And there comes the explanation about if they can find the water or if there is no water. And then we explain about the kind of soil that we have. So I think that when we think about changing the behavior of the society, one of the main things that to understand how they can learn, because the language has to change. Our language has to change. It's much more easy to us to continue being technical and scientists. But for when we want to talk to the population, we need to change the language. It's so difficult for them to understand what we are trying to say. So maybe when we promote an event from that moment, one of the main challenges that we have is to understand the public that we have and how we will impact them. Because it's not the same reason that brings one student to the event as the same as a professor or someone that has a company. The reason that they are going to the event, it's totally different. But how can we guarantee their satisfaction? We need to know who they are. And of course, when we try to engage with the society, I think one of the main challenges that we have is to change the language. It's not a downgrade on the language, it's to change the language. We need to bring them the information that we will understand. And we have to be sure that they will understand what we are trying to say. I think that's the main point, Everton.
Yeah, I might add something to that, Rodrigo, because when we had that experience, which was an interesting one, we created it for a groundwater congress, a Brazilian groundwater congress. And we had this idea, actually, Rodrigo came up with the idea of producing this game-like thing. And that was the time of the virtual reality, the Pokemon fever, that everybody was chasing Pokemons everywhere, right? So we came out, why don't we have like a Pokemon-like thing that people can look for groundwater? So we create this idea, and Rodrigo put some money on that we have here, a big event called Campus Party. It's a meeting of modelers and people producing games and everything. It's a place where people go in tents, they sleep there, and they are creating things all the time. It's a working and fun environment for these geeks and related people.
Yeah.
So we put some money there on offer for that idea. And the good thing is that we had 3 or 4 final suggestions, people to produce. And the winner was a doctor, a physician. He had nothing to do with groundwater, no previous experience with groundwater. And he came up with a very neat idea, very neat. So we had this, this huge outdoor at the entrance of our event, which we had a beach situation, city, mountains, all sorts of likely, places to drill a well. And then people went there with their, cell phone. They download the app, go with their cell phone and click where they think they would like to have a well installed.
Wow.
And it's no water, some places they didn't have water, the well goes too deep, the well goes shallow, and some basic information. And the most interesting thing about this suggestion is that most journalists and people that are there to cover groundwater, which usually they don't know what we're talking about. They were very, like hypnotized by this tool. And every journalist had a note about this tool on how we use how to drill a well. That was quite interesting.
Wow.
So,
Everton, let me just say some words about that. I think the main question is the change of the mindset. It's a mindset question, because when we promote an event, we are used to pay some bills that we are used to do, like food, like the space rental and so on. When we were building the budget of this event, we have put some money to this kind of innovation. But after all the experience that we have, it was the money that we got from the sponsors were much bigger than the cost that we have, because it's much easier for them to explain for this kind of population that can buy services, that can buy products in this kind of technology, than trying to convince the same guys that they are trying to convince for the last 20 years. So it's a new target for them. So what I think that we need to understand is that we deal with a difficult subject. It's not easy to understand what is groundwater, where is it, and so on. So the most we can bring and deliver this information for the society, the better results that we can have.
Yeah. Mike, you were adding something.
Well, I was just going to say that this, I think the idea of using apps is really great. I've had some students who periodically dabble in the app world, but they haven't come up with anything that I would consider, what should I say, worthwhile. Although there are some who are, I said, because I don't do apps myself. I don't have the skill set, and so I would like to see some. But one thing I was going to say is, and this is a little bit off topic, it was related to one of the earlier questions. Everton, you and I were talking about LinkedIn, and to me, LinkedIn is obviously it's very different from Twitter. But when I put something on LinkedIn, it appeals more to a professional audience than, say, some of the stuff I put on Twitter. So for the person who asked about deciding what you're going to do, I think it depends on your platform and who many of your followers are. And on Twitter, some of my tweets are broad and can hit a number of different audiences, whereas in LinkedIn, I'm looking more towards, the engineers and scientists and, the people who look more like me, not physically, of course. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but in terms of what they think about,
Well, I think I still encourage you to jump into LinkedIn. So about your point, we have a question here again from Iris. Is there any other children books about groundwater that we're publishing? What do you think about the new media as TikTok?
Is that directed to me? I think Rodrigo's wants to answer that. No, I have to admit.
I'll direct it to you then.
Hey, listen, I'm just getting used to WhatsApp, and so TikTok, I'm intrigued with it. I don't want to get in trouble with my government, because who knows, that's and they'll steal all my secrets. So I don't know. I mean, if to the people out there, if you have facility with TikTok, you're obviously going to reach an audience that's quite different from, say, the audience that I'm seeking to reach. And so I would encourage people to pursue it. Same with, yeah, definitely. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Everton, let me just say some words about that. One of the main things that we need is people, is someone who takes the role of promoting the groundwater for different publics. So we need the TikTok. We need like the Professor Agua in Brazil. We need him in the TikTok, because it's a kind of new technologies where we can spread our informations to these guys. We have to be where they are. It's not more, we cannot keep on just saying with them just on YouTube if they are on TikTok. We need to be where they are. So we need to engage the most we can, but we need more people trying to talk about groundwater than we have now. So this is something that we need to always to think about.
Yes. And I think that's a great point, Rodrigo. And I would encourage people, both professors and students, to encourage their students to do, you know, thesis topics on things like this. I mean, some people will say, well, that's not technical groundwater or something like that. Okay, but I think, you know, bringing groundwater to more people and finding a platform for that would be a, you know, tremendous contribution to society. So, and again, that's again thinking outside the box, except maybe in a more traditional way to encourage people. We have a couple students here at Oregon State University, and they're into what's called serious gaming, and it's producing games, as, and I think Rodrigo was alluding to this, that you can play on, whether it's a mainframe computer or a laptop or you know, an iPhone or something like that, that answers questions or deals with certain situations in the water arena. And that's, you know, I think a lot of us have learned by playing games, regardless of what they are. And so this is what this is actually a young woman getting a PhD. That's what she's focusing on. She wants to teach people how to deal with water situations in the context of a game.
Yeah, well, we're trying this here in Brazil. I have a cartoon character which is called Professor Agua. Professor Agua, that's me, and but it's a cartoon, and we answer questions to kids. You know, simple questions. Why does it rain? You know, why doesn't a fish comes from my tap? Or, you know, those very, childish questions, but it's very nice because they learn some of the basics. Most people don't even know why water comes from their tap, right? So some of the questions are interesting. So we're trying to engage an audience about topics on a fun way. TikTok is a good one because it's fun, but then you have to have that, the nerve. You have to be, I don't know, humorist or I don't know, a comedian to do something on TikTok. And well, maybe I'm not, or we're not the right persons. But if you are, you could do something on the TikTok for us to help spread the word about groundwater. About more books on children's books. Yes, we have one. I just talked to a lady here in Brazil this week. The problem with the published books, they usually have rights, and it's hard to manage to publish for free. And our connections are the start. We're trying to broaden our participation to people that are not exactly groundwater scientists, that could talk, about the subject with people on a different level to help us. So this, hydrogeologists will tend to write a children's book that children won't read, right? That's simple as that. Because we will use words that they don't like, right? So we had this. We had two experiences translating, and we're learning as we go. Translating the Wally, Indiana. First was a translation to Greek, and then Gina, she's taking her PhD in Toronto now. She invited a girlfriend of mine who teaches kids, and she suggested many things to implement, to localize to Greek children that language, and to make it more, let's say, the word affordable comes to mind, but more, understandable, something like that for children. And also the translation into Mandarin, which is it's coming soon. Also, the translator and her daughter helping her in Mandarin. And her daughter was, giving suggestions like a child would do, which is also very welcome. So these are things that we scientists don't do regularly, right? And we're learning. So that's why we're talking about, social media and experiences. So if you're doing something and you have a suggestion, welcome, tell us, okay? Let me see, I have one more question here. Let me see. Luis Hernandez again. It would be nice to relate all those concepts about water quantity and quality, pumping stations, etc., to the geographic position and the risks of exploitation of aquifers. Example, subsidence. Doesn't have a question, but would you want to say something about that?
Well, I think I just saw, it actually came out from I believe some Mexican hydrogeologists about a world map of the, subsidence hazard, or, in all over the world. And I think that's having quite a splash. Now, granted, it's not a game or anything, but something like that would be useful. Have a game about, is your farm going to sink 3 meters because of, what's going on. I was just reading an article this morning about our state of Arizona here, where they're not so much worried about subsidence yet, but in some places they're extracting huge amounts of groundwater, and people are growing hay, which is perceived to be a low value crop, and they're shipping it overseas, and they're not paying, the locals are complaining because they're not paying for the water. So, I mean, boy, you could think of a game like that, or something like that. So anyway, but let your, my mind is going quickly, so I can't let it run wild. But I mean, for the young people out who are viewing us, I would encourage you, don't be daunted by someone saying, "Oh, that's a stupid idea," or "That'll never work." Don't just say, "Well, I'm going to pursue it anyway." So
exactly, try it.
Yes, try it.
Yep.
So what?
I totally agree. Try it, guys. Yeah. We have Custodio and Llamas waiting to get into our next session. So we'll ask you to put a final word to our audience, please. It was very nice having you both here. Great, great contribution, and I hope you share and like our posts, okay, and your followers do the same, so we can boost our presence on the internet. Thank you very much. Michael, please, you first.
Well, I just want to say this has been very enjoyable, Everton, and I like doing this kind of stuff. And I would encourage people, as we just said, if you have an idea, don't let anyone squash it. What did Thomas and Edison say? Something like, I haven't failed. I just haven't succeeded 10,000 times or something. Something like that. You just keep plugging away. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Rodrigo.
Everton, congratulations for you and for the whole team for promoting such a big event like this during these difficult times that we are facing. What I think is that what I would recommend, like someone that is working with groundwater for so much time, but not being a geologist or something like this, is that you deal with something really special. We need the groundwater to live. The most to inform the best behavior that we have from the society. We need more people saying about that. We can have so many different kinds of digital influencers on groundwater, but anyone can identify the public that you have, that you are close in our social medias, but try to promote the best, the groundwater, since the importance that it has for the whole society is really big. So thanks, Michael, for all the conversation that we have. Was really amazing to learn with you. Everton, congratulations for you and for the whole team.
Thank you very much. Thank you, who's watching us. Tell your friends to watch. This is going to remain on YouTube. People can see, can make suggestions. You know, we are a team putting together ideas on groundwater. And you don't have to wait for us to start and putting things out to spread the word about groundwater. Groundwater is the most important source of drinking water for people throughout the planet. So you can do it yourself. Just start. As Michael said, don't be daunted by that. Just do it. You know, if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. Do it again, do it again. You will succeed. You know, persistence is a thing, and groundwater is so important. Then even if your plan is not good enough for you, it's good for others. Don't worry. It helps society thinking and knowing about groundwater. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Rodrigo. It was great having you.
Thank you, Everton. Rodrigo, great.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye.